Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Charlie Pankey, Sierra Now Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us again today. We are glad that you're here, and we do hope the Sierra is in your future in this coming weekend, hopefully, wherever you're at. Stick around today. If you were into backpacking, if you like to get out in the wilderness, see new things, maybe you've thought about backpacking but haven't tried it yet because you got some fears or anxiety, today's for you. So I got some great guests on here. That's what they do. They take beginners, veterans, anybody who wants to go in the backcountry and be guided and catered to. This day is for you. So I want to introduce you to James and Kelsey from Sierra. I'm going to say it wrong, guys. Sierra Summit Expeditions, right?
You got it right. You
I
nailed
got it
it.
right. How about that? I just met them today, so apologize. We chatted on Instagram, connected up. Guys, I've been looking at your stuff on Instagram. It looks incredible. I can't wait to talk to you today about wilderness, exploring. How you doing today?
We're
We're
good. We
good.
really appreciate you reaching out, and this is a very cool opportunity. Like you mentioned, we really enjoy just introducing people to backpacking. There's a lot of people out there who might be intimidated, who have never gone, who don't know where to start, and that's really why we got into this. We want you to come with us. We'll get you started,
Awesome.
and then if you want to go out on your own, find some new friends, that's fine. But take that first step with us, so it's not as scary as it sounds.
Awesome. Now, I did a little homework, just a little bit here today before we could talk. It looks like your guys' trips are kind of Tahoe National Forest, Lake Tahoe region, down to like Immigrant Wilderness. Is that a fair assumption of your kind of your terrain, if you will?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Perfect, perfect. So, where are you guys based out of? And how did this come about as a business idea for you guys? Have you been backpacking since you were a kid here? What's the story?
Well, so I'm out of Rockland, California, just east of Sacramento, and Kelsey, I'll let you say where you're out of.
Yeah, I'm currently out of Grass Valley,
Okay.
California, so just a little bit north.
Yeah.
But I am originally from the state of Iowa, so I did not grow up in backpacking, hiking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But now I get to live in this lovely, wonderful state, and I feel like I live in the perfect place to play. So I'm excited to be in the foothills.
Okay, do you know how sometimes you get information that you didn't know that just is so funny? Because I moved here directly from Iowa. Now
No.
I wasn't from Iowa, but that's where my last career was at, and I moved to the Sierra from Iowa. So completely
That's
get your
great.
love for the Sierra and how that worked out.
Love it. Love to meet it.
Very good. So James, then were you a backpacker early
So,
age? You've been in the Sierra for a long time. What's your story on that?
I grew up camping and I grew up hiking, but not necessarily backpacking as a kid.
Okay.
And then I was in the military and did a lot of backpacking in quotes, doing, but not very fun. But so when I got out of the military, I just realized, gosh, I live in and around Sacramento. Here, the
Mhm.
Sierra Nevadas, they're beautiful. I didn't take advantage of it when I was a kid, so I just promised myself I'm going to be up there as much as I can from here on out. Now that I had the skills, so
Fantastic.
yeah, I just fell in love with it immediately.
So it begs the question: what was each of you individual? What was your first backpacking trip that you took? What was the first destination that you went backpacking to?
Kelsey, I'll let you go first while I think about it.
Well, yeah, like I said, I didn't grow up doing it. So I had started doing just like longer and longer day hikes.
Hmm.
And then my first, I'm trying to remember because they were very close together, but I think it was in Trinity Alps was my
Oh,
first
beautiful.
like solo overnight backpacking
Yeah.
trip. It was absolutely beautiful. It was like scary and wonderful and all of the things that come with like being alone, especially as a woman, first time ever backpacking by myself. I think I went on a Wednesday because there's
Yeah.
sort of nobody there. It was hard but like
Bear country, the whole
amazing.
9 yards, right?
Yeah, and it was like, there was like a few trials, and I think I had set it for, I had like this 5-day plan because in my head I was just like, this is it, you're doing it. It's very much my personality. Like, you're not just going out for one night, like, we're just going to make this a 5-night situation. And it ended up being 2 nights because
Great.
of some fears and some things that came up. But I always remember that, and that is like a big part of it. And then obviously I grew my backpacking skills and comfortability and do much more than that now. But I always remember that in the back of my head when I'm guiding and teaching people. And I like to tell that story too,
That's a
because
great story.
it's not just innate, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
had to get there.
I understand completely. So,
Yeah.
James, do you remember yours yet?
Yeah. So actually, this is when I was thinking about getting into backpacking and I was still in the military. I was on a ship and I was just Googling images of backpacking, and Lake Aloha and Desolation Wilderness popped
Yeah.
up. So, and I saw images of that lake and I said, I'm going there.
Awesome.
And as soon as I got out, that was the first place I went on my own solo trip. And it lived up to everything I thought it was going to be from the pictures I saw online. It was absolutely beautiful. And it's, that lake's always going to have a real special place for me because that was something that
That was the first.
it was a goal. I was going to get there and then I made it happen. And it's just, it's beautiful. Desolation Wilderness is incredible. So
That's great. I actually a volunteer ranger in Desolation Wilderness, so I've been to many lakes back there. Aloha is fantastic. I do agree. I personally like Ropey Lake a little bit better,
yeah.
but that's because there's less people there.
Yeah. Like Aloha can
I get it.
crowded. Yeah.
It's a good place. A good place. My first backpacking trip, I'm lucky to say, was to Young's Lake in Yosemite National Park, and
Wonderful.
so we did a 2-nighter there. Had a bear walk through camp, the whole 9 yards. So it was quite the Yosemite experience. So yeah,
It's tough though to start with Yosemite. You set the bar so high for yourself with how beautiful it is.
I,
You're going to be chasing that forever. But
I chase it every summer. But well, very good. So tell me about the organization a little bit. How did it come about getting started, and where are you guys at now? As far as I think you're like 14 years in right now, right? So you're
well,
pretty comfortable in this experience now. So
yeah. So collectively, we've been backpacking. The Sierra Summit expedition isn't 14 years old, but we've
okay,
been, backpacking together. My other partner, Brett, who couldn't be on the call today, we've been backpacking together for 14 years. And
okay,
and for that amount of time, we've been taking beginners and people who have never backpacked. And it was just kind of a passion of ours to do it. But this predates Sierra Summit expeditions.
I gotcha.
But it was through that we kind of started thinking about, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we, advertising this? We love bringing people who have never been. They don't know that they can come with us, and that's kind of
Yeah.
where we started brainstorming the idea. And then Brett and I were kicking around the idea, a handful of years ago, right when COVID started. So right when we were getting off the ground there, COVID kind of shut us down.
Yep.
So this is officially our second year going with Sierra Summit Expedition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
But
before I saw the 14 years, I kind of remember that on Instagram going, these guys aren't really shouldn't be that old, but
yeah,
I read a story real quick and adjusted my story there. So that makes sense. So talk about 2 years in Tahoe National Forest is obviously Highway 50, like Tahoe area. I'm assuming you probably dabble in Desolation Wilderness, that whole Loon Lake area, probably a little bit.
We stick to Tahoe National Forest and
Okay.
Emigrant Wilderness down south because all of our guided trips are through the Forest Service, so approved through the Forest Service.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay,
so that's where we have our commercial permit use for. So we stay to those for our Sierra Summit Expeditions trips, the Tahoe National Forest and the Immigrant Wilderness. But, we'll still do our personal trips and our fun trips into Desolation and the other surrounding national forests as well. But
okay, so let's break this out for listeners and talk Tahoe National Forest first, and then we'll jump to Immigrant Wilderness real quick. Okay, so
sure.
what's a trip in Tahoe National Forest look like for maybe a beginner, or do you guys have multiple trips that you guys kind of plan out and work the schedule?
Oh, great question, Kelsey. You want to?
Yeah, the Tahoe National Forest for the main kind of route we use is great because there's a ton of lakes, first of all. So there's a lot of options of where you're going. And we can kind of make a judgment call based off of what the group needs or wants, how far they're going. But we do traditionally do, I would say, between 3 and 5 miles. And they're not necessarily there's there's uphill, but it's not uphill the whole way.
Yeah.
But it's challenging, especially if you're a beginner and you've never backpacked before with weight. It is challenging, but it's not so challenging that we're setting people up for failure.
Yeah.
But I mean, most of our trips, I would say, you know, we kind of have a destination in mind, but it changes based off of how the group's doing, how we're feeling, how many people are out there. Do we offer fishing a lot of times as like an activity? And so does the group even want to fish? That kind of will make a change on if we want to go to a certain lake or not. How long do we stay for lunch, etc. So, and again, that route can definitely be length, made longer if we are doing an intermediate trip out there. But generally, we do most of our beginner trips in the Tahoe National Forest.
So if somebody wants to get you're excited about the idea, what's a name of one of the lakes you like going to, just so they can look it up on a map and go, oh yeah, I want to go see that place.
Yeah. So typically one of the more popular ones we'll start at Carr Lake in Tahoe National Forest, and we'll hike out to Downey Lake. And if you were to pull that route up on a map, you'd see that there's 2 or 3 really pretty lakes along the way. There's Round Lake, there's Island Lake, there's Milk Lake. So, you know, as we're heading out to Downey Lake, if you know, that's our endpoint, that's our goal, but we're looking at the group and, you know, some people are kind of struggling a little bit, or we see that maybe it's just time for a longer break, or maybe we're just done hiking for the day. We can stop at one of those earlier or, you know, shorter lakes, set up camp, get the weight off of our shoulders, and then we'll still day hike out to Downey, one of the further lakes, so we can, you know, they'll still get the chance to see those, but they're not carrying all that weight. So, you know, we'll make an audible call. We'll make an adjustment if we need to for the group, because, you know, ultimately most of these people are beginners. So we just want to make
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. You know, you never know on your trip. You know, my son and I did 40 miles in Yosemite last year, and you always have this idea, hey, we're going to make this destination today.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where going, like my son calls it hangry. For me, I just get to a hangry spot. It's like, it's time to pull off the back and get that a break.
Well, and we want them to have a good time. So even if they could make it to that far lake, but we can see in their eyes, they're, you know, it's time to maybe take a break, then, you know, we can get there without the weight. We can still go explore the Sierra Nevadas.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason we need to, you know, keep carrying those 40 pounds around when we can set up our tents and then take off, you know, out there for the day and then come back. So
that's great.
You know, we want people to have a good time while we're out there.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and jump to Immigrant Wilderness, kind of same thing. Kind of let's give us just a snapshot of what that might look like for the same group in Immigrant Wilderness, and like where do you start off at and where you guys heading?
So Immigrant Wilderness, I mean, that's special for us. So that's one of my favorite trips down there, and it's a little bit more advanced. But one of the trips we'll do is we'll go out to Kennedy Meadows. Nice. So yeah, we'll start at the Kennedy Meadows, the pack station there, and then we'll hike up to Kennedy Meadows, and we'll make that a 2-nighter. You know, you're going to work a little bit harder to get up there, so we want to make sure people have time to enjoy it once they get there.
So beautiful in there.
Oh, it's my favorite trip. So yeah, if anybody's thinking about coming with us, definitely look at those pictures and you know, see if it's for you. But you know, you're going to work harder to get there. It's a tough hike up there. But
I'm doing my first backpacking trip in Immigrant Wilderness in August this year. We're going down on the south side of it, down by, you know, Big Lake and some of those, you know, Bucks Lake and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm doing a big loop up there. And I'm actually, the horse is taking my pack in for me, dropping me off, and I'm hiking around.
That's in the works for us, putting
good
like that together for us, just to make it more accessible for everybody. Because you know,
I'll connect you with Seth at Aspen Meadows. He's a good guy.
As you know, ounces make pounds and pounds make pain. So everything adds up very quickly. So, you know, definitely want to go through your pack and make sure you're making it as light as you can before you step off on a trip like that. But yeah,
that's a great next segue, because again, I kind of feel like this show is kind of leaning towards that beginner, intermediate, you know, backpacker. You guests need to provide their own pack, or are you providing gear?
We provide everything. So
okay, perfect.
You know, so you know, one of the hurdles to backpacking is just all the equipment, as you probably know. So, you know, and that can be expensive. So, you know, you're asking people who potentially are going to go backpacking to buy all this stuff before they know if they even want to be a backpacker.
Exactly.
So, which is crazy. So, you know, we provide everything from the backpacking pack to the tent, to the sleeping bag, to the sleeping pad, to the trekking poles, to the headlamp, to the meals. Nice. You know, we make it, you know, as easy as possible for our guests. So really, they've got to show up with some warm clothes, some good shoes, and a good attitude, and we've got them covered for the rest of the way.
Very
So
good. Don't forget that
yeah.
bug spray,
Yeah.
sunglasses.
Yeah.
So, how heavy are the packs that you guys pack up on a general basis? You got like an average weight that you try to get your packs down to?
There are some each guide is a little bit different in
Yeah.
this area. I would say that I really try to drive people towards lightweight
Yep.
backpacks. And I think in general we all really try to get people to get their pack weight down, just because,
Yeah.
especially for beginner and intermediate hikes, one, we're not going out for it's either 1 or 2 nights, right? Maybe 3 nights. You don't need that much stuff, and that's kind of part of the experience. And two, it's painful to have a lot of weight on your feet, and you don't really know that until it's too late to drop the items.
Yep.
And then therefore we become the people that are carrying it, which is fine. We'll do it. It's a good workout.
Not good.
But generally, I try to get people to carry as little as possible.
Yep.
Granted, the base weight of our gear it's not ultralight by any means. We're definitely trying to make sure that people are comfortable. So we're a very, I would say, midweight gear company. And like that being said, we were talking about the gear. Some people do bring their own gear if they already have it, because we have a lot of people that have maybe been on 1 trip, 2 trips, or like, their friend went on one, so they have some stuff, and they'll bring their own gear too, and they can get discounts by bringing their own gear as well. And so we kind of work with that and change it, but just trying to manipulate the things that we can to get the pack as light.
That makes a lot of sense, because there are people out there who just want to go with someone else, right? And they've never been to Tahoe National Forest or haven't been to Emigrant, want to go, hey, I'd love to just join a trip like that. That's a great experience, meet some new people, etc. So, my first backpacking trip, my pack was 55 pounds. And that was 7 miles to Young's Lake. So that was a killer. But so I'm knocked that down to about 30 pounds, but I'll go back up to, I went to 40 last year on a trip because I wanted extra warmth, so I took some extra stuff, but it was all personal choice.
You knew what,
and I'm much stronger now.
Kelsey's really good about persuading people to leave things that they're not going to need. I'm not that good at that. I say bring it, and then usually I'll end up carrying it for him. So it's
there you go. Yeah.
But we're not, because our hikes are not super long, because we're going for, I know we can get there with the weight, or even worst case scenario, we can carry some of that weight, and or if we need to leave a pack and come back and get it, it's a couple miles. I know
it's not that bad. You're also in Tahoe National Forest. Are they requiring bear cans? Because I know Emigrant doesn't.
We take bear cans.
You take bear cans anyways. Okay. So
they are not required, but we take them just for like skills, because bear cans are not exactly easy to navigate if you don't know how to use them. And I think, and we've talked about this, I think that much of California is trending towards like requiring a bear can. And so
absolutely.
We think it's pretty important for beginners or intermediate backpackers to learn how to use those and to understand how heavy it is. Plus, just from a safety standpoint, it makes sense when we have that many people with that much food.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't no use tempting a bear if there's one out there, right? So, and we're not trying to scare anybody off with bears. Really, bears want nothing to do with you out there. I've run into plenty of them. They just want to move on down the road. So you're completely safe out there. I have plenty of friends who won't go backpacking because they're afraid of the bears. I can't get them over that hurdle yet. So it's like, come on.
They won't see one. That's the best part.
I have too many stories. Unfortunately, I've told them too many stories about me seeing bears. So it's like, they're going, okay. Well, then let's talk about some of your favorites. Like, Kennedy Meadows, obviously, I can see it in James' face as soon as he started talking about it's like favorite location, right? Let's tell some of the viewers some of your other favorite spots to go explore and do. It doesn't have to be your trips, but I would suggest maybe talking about your trips a little bit, and what in Tahoe National Forest drives you to go back over and over again, for example.
You want to start, Kelsey, or you want?
Tahoe National Forest has a special spot in my heart for some very sappy reasons, and just like because it's amazing. But I met my fiance backpacking in Tahoe National Forest. I got engaged in Tahoe National Forest. Like, I have hiked the Tahoe Rim Trail. I have hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, and all of those are in there. And obviously, like, especially when you're doing the PCT, you're seeing so many beautiful things.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the Tahoe region in general is in the top 5, right? People always ask that, what was your favorite parts, right? But I think that for me, like, Emigrant is beautiful, and it's got those like big scathing views, which you can get in Tahoe National Forest too. But also, I think in Tahoe, you get some of that like small magic that anybody else in the world coming from anywhere else is like, this is a huge view, but only us Californians or like West Coasters that are seeing the big Yosemite things might think a little bit less. But I think it's perfect for learning to backpack, feeling comfortable, understanding the forest, understanding temperature changes, learning about elevation. There's lots of shade. Like, there's always a lake, no matter what. If you're stranded, you're going to find water. Like, I find Tahoe to be such a safe, and I don't use that. I use that term as like a comfort. Like, to me, it's a comfort. It's right there. It's always there when you need it. You can go high elevation, you can go moderate, you can go low. Like, there's just so many positives of backpacking there. I do a lot of trail running. It's like, it's a huge national forest also. So it's like,
it's a big area.
It just spans. It's like 20 minutes from my house, but then I can drive 3 hours and I'm still in it. So it's like, you can just do anything there. For me, that's why I love those areas. And it's just, there's less crowds too, depending on where you go, obviously. But it's always the top thing that I recommend, actually.
You know, for me, I'm 8 years in the backpack in the Sierra now, because I didn't start right off the bat. Water sources are a big thing for me. Like, I still will not pick a route where I don't know for sure I'm going to have water whenever I want it, basically. Because to me, for whatever reason, that's the fear. It's like, I'm not going without water.
You're not alone in that fear.
Yeah, I get it. So absolutely. So
way.
Having lakes and rivers on a regular basis on your hiking trail it's a big mental hurdle to pass over. So absolutely. Jane, you got any other thoughts on that?
I would just say one place I really like is actually Culbertson Lake, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's very easy to get to. Yeah, it's near Lindsay Lakes off Bowman Lake Road.
Okay.
You can stop at the little campground at Lindsay Lakes, and then you can hike into Culbertson, which that's probably one of my favorite lakes, just because it's so easy to get to. I never see anybody out there. It's a big, beautiful lake, and for me, I can hike in with my 2 sons who are young, 7 and 5. So we can go backpacking, and it's a very doable for young people.
Great. That's great.
And it's close enough that if they if we really needed to get out of there because they didn't want to be there anymore, we could hike back. We could hike back to the truck if we needed to, and be down the road back home in bed if we had to. But
I send people to Tamarack Lake in Desolation for that same reason all the time. Take the kids to There's a lot of people there, but you're 2 miles from the car. You're literally you can come back in the middle of the night if you need to.
If you really had to, you could do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a really pretty lake, and I just don't see too many people there, which is nice. So.
That's always a wonderful thing, right? So most of the lakes in Tahoe National Forest are probably going to be tree lined. Also, you guys probably don't have too many just solid granite bowls up there, right? So
yeah, very rare. Yeah. There's a few, but lots of pretty trees, which is nice.
Okay, so let's talk about the biggest trip you guys do. You guys, we talked a lot of beginner stuff, but like what's like, you want an expedition type hiking experience. What do you guys put together, and how do you do that for maybe a guys group or a women's group? Say, hey, we're seasoned. We just want somebody to guide us to something bigger.
Well, Kelsey. Well, so for Sierra Summit expeditions, the biggest trip we'll do is the 2-night, 3 days to Kennedy Meadows.
So you guys really have found that's your niche right there.
Yeah. So that's it. Now Kelsey here she'll take you on a trip, anything you want, out in the woods. But yeah, her and her husband could do some private guides outside of Sierra Summit. If you wanted something more extensive,
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, she could do that. She could probably talk more about that.
Very good. I'll let you guys do that separately. We'll keep it on Sierra Summit expeditions. That'll work. Very good. Very good. Yeah. You won't actually believe we're almost at 30-minute mark already, which is crazy how fast this goes, right? Yeah. But I want to get into fun stories. If we got readers, listeners out there listening and they're kind of going, give us something fun. Tell us a fun backpacking story in the last 2 years with your groups. Maybe somebody who didn't think they're going to make it, who ended up loving it. I mean, just the other stories like that you want to share? Or? big fish somebody caught that they wanted to cook up?
So it's really cool to see actually a lot of people who, they think they might like it, but actually fall in love with it. And then see them now on, on their Instagram or on their Facebook, going on other backpacking trips where they've connected with people, not just either in the community from, SSE, but now they're reached out to other groups and are okay going backpacking and meeting new people. So it's kind of cool to see that happen. One funny story I'll just tell really quick was, I hiked a Bigfoot costume out on one of our trips and dressed in Bigfoot to get some funny footage. But in that Bigfoot costume, I rolled my ankle so bad that, had a, was limp, was good, but that hike back out the next day was probably one of the longest days of my life. Just, fortunately we had some other great guides to help carry some of that weight, but yeah, it was silly. But if you see any Bigfoot photos out there, you'll know that's the day.
I want to be looking for it. And that's got Tahoe National Forest, I'm assuming, because I've seen plenty of Bigfoot thing north of Tahoe.
Yeah.
Only James.
I broke my toe 7 miles in the wilderness in Yosemite a couple years back, and then to walk out with a broken big toe, that was not fun. So
that's a long day.
Yeah, that's a long day.
That's tough ground to do that on.
Yep.
Yes.
Kelsey, you have any stories that you want to share?
Yeah, I think something just like generally uplifting is, and this happens on a lot of trips, but like specifically I can remember, so I guide some of our women's only trips, or I guide all of our women's only trips. Okay. Not all of our trips are women's only, but there's often a lot of like ability level differences. And so that's why we always have more than one guide. But so we had somebody that was really struggling, and it was an immigrant. It was a hot day. Like there was just a lot going on and needed some help from the guides, which is what we're here for. And had to take some weight off of her back, but it was just a really, really hard day for her. And most of the group had already gotten to camp. And then I had gone back to help her and the other guide. And I got there and, took her pack because she had like a quarter of a mile left. And I took that pack off of her, and she starts walking in kind of like this area that we camp in. An Emigrant, you go over like a reservoir or like a dam area, and we're going over it, and it's just like I think the miracle of nature, right? Because you're hearing the water flowing. It's the end of the day, all the adrenaline's bumping, and she just starts like bawling. And I didn't know until we got over it, and we're at camp essentially, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, there's nothing wrong, I just didn't know I had it in me. And of course she did, right? And she was, it makes you feel good as a guide, but everybody felt so good because they were all then like, yeah, it was really hard for me too, and blah, blah, blah. And now we're here now. And it's just such a feel good moment, because obviously we all love the wilderness and backpacking and camping. And so being able to share that and like see that light in somebody's eye is just, it makes everything just so worth it. It's amazing.
I so relate to that. I last summer I told you I did that 40 miles in Yosemite, but one of my spots in that trip was Bernice Lake, which I'd seen from top of a pass one time ago. I gotta see that lake someday. And it was a really hot, hard day. I was struggling a little bit in the afternoon. And so my son had gone to the lake ahead of me. And when I got to the lake, I dropped my pack and I just couldn't stop the ball. I mean, I literally sounded, it was just, because it was so beautiful. I've been backpacking all over the place, but it's like that moment was so emotional. It's like, it was about, I got here, but it was just like a fulfillment type thing. It's like, man, it's so powerful what nature can do to you. It's completely unexpected, right? My son's, you go okay? He says, yeah, I just need to go swimming and cry for a moment. Just leave me alone.
Fine.
But
I'll be back in a little bit. Just, I need to check out a little bit.
Yeah. So it was really awesome. It's really awesome. Okay. So we're really closing up on time here. I want to be polite to you and our guests. We had some technical difficulties. Real quick, tell people how they can get a hold of the expeditions group and what to expect this summer. How can they book for this summer if they want to go out?
Yeah, so best way to get in touch with us is just find us on either Instagram, so Sierra Summit Expeditions, or you can just go to our website, so Sierra Summit expeditions.com, and we've got our trips coming up on there. You can take a look, see which dates work best for you. shoot us a message with any questions you have. We'll get right back to you, answer those. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable.
Cool.
And then hit reserve now. So we're very affordable. Our one-night trips are only $550. Our two-night trips are $750. We offer bring your own gear discount. We offer a buddy discount. So if you come with a friend, we really want to make this experience as accessible to everybody as we can. And then, if you want to come back with us, that's great. But now at least you've tried it, you've done it, if you like it, and you have the confidence to keep pushing and going out on your own. Going back to Kelsey's story about that young lady, she's now a backpacker. Like, she's out there doing it. So that was her first time ever backpacking. And it's really cool. So just come with us if you like it.
Perfect.
And then, go from there.
That's awesome. Hold on for just 1 second here, guys. I want to make sure I take just a moment. I got 3 more questions for you.
Okay.
But if you've been a listener for a while, I can't do any of this without my sponsors. Visit Carson Valley is our home base, wide open here in the Carson Valley. Spring's a great time to come see the wild horses, take an off-road trip, go golfing. It's all wide open here. We got a ton of trails. So just if you humor for a moment, here's a quick view. Oops, let me go live. Here's a view of the Carson Valley. All right. Well, thanks Carson Valley again for being our sponsors. We can't do the shows and meet great people like James and Kelsey here and you bring the Sierra story to you. So, all right, guys, I have 3 quick questions for you. I just want to be, polite on everybody's time here. So here's the first question. Say your bag is packed right behind you. You get a weekend off to go anywhere in the Sierra you want to go. Where are you heading and why?
I'll go Lake Culbertson. I'm taking my kids going to Lake Culbertson.
I love it. Kids going camping. Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know the exact trail, but I would go somewhere in the Trinities. I just love them, and especially if it's a weekday, so there's not as many crowds. But
that is the secret to all permits.
That's where I'm going.
Perfect. All right, and after I get done backpacking, long weekend, I look for burgers and cheeseburgers and milkshakes. I want calories and big old, homegrown food type thing. What's your go-to after expedition meal, and where you going to eat?
I actually go cheese shop in Newcastle, California. Place is awesome.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting the fattest coffee I can find, and a cheeseburger for sure. So if I'm in Tahoe, I'm going to Coffee Bar. I love their coffee and I'm getting a scone. And then whenever I can either get to In-N-Out or Burger and Cream in Grass Valley. So yeah.
Coffee Bar just became the very first official second time somebody's mentioned the Coffee Bar on my show.
Really? That's funny.
Yeah. Very good. All right. And finally, we're all gearheads in some way or form. Piece of gear that you just don't leave home without, that this is uniquely your favorite thing out in the wilderness.
Mine's a comfort thing. It's my hammock.
I'm a hammock guy too. James, you and I are going to get along.
I think so. Laying by the lake in my hammock with a book, kind of dozing, is probably my favorite place in the world to be. So I love it. I'll take a hammock over a sleeping bag, over a tent, over anything. That's always coming with me.
100%.
I'm going to get made fun of for this, but I always say it. My favorite piece of gear is my 2-cent spork. I want to make sure I can eat, and it is the tool that gets me there. It's so cheap, it's so light, and I love it. It brings me nourishment.
I've broken many sporks over the year, and it's all right. We got to get another one. I get you on that. So I'm a paper map guy. I always have a paper map. I know technology wise, but I just love my paper map. I feel comfortable with it. I know I'm never going to get lost. I almost don't ever use it, but I like having it. So I get that completely. So guys, thank you so very much. I hope your expeditions this summer are full of people trying backpacking and fall in love with it. And you guys have great, safe trips this year. Thanks for being part of the Sierra story. And we'll look forward to getting this out to the listeners. And listeners, if you're watching, like, share, do all that stuff. We'd love to have you there. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So go ahead and hit that button. And tell people about the story. James and I were just talking about it. I've been doing this 10 years. A lot of people still don't know we're out here. So share it with your friends. Let them know. It's free information, how to see the Sierra. And if you have a story to tell and you want to tell it to us, reach out to me. I'd love to tell your story as well. Have a great day wherever you're at. Drive safe and hope the Sierra is in your future.
Thank you.